Well, the meeting between Zelensky and Trump did not go as planned. It went quite badly. Now, the agenda was supposed to include discussions on U.S. support for Ukraine, a proposed minerals deal, and the ongoing war with Russia, but it quickly spiraled into a heated confrontation. Now, the meeting kicked off in the Oval Office with Trump setting the tone, saying to Zelensky, "I'll hope I'll be known and recognized as a peacemaker," a phrase that he actually repeated a couple times throughout the encounter. Zelensky responded early on with, quote, "I think President Trump is on our side. I think that the United States is on our side from the very beginning of the occupation." But the mood shifted rapidly as Trump pressed his case. Showing frustration, Trump said, quote, "You're right now not in a very good position. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried here." Now, he was implying that the United States has leverage over Ukraine because of the aid, and he was expecting gratitude. Zelensky reminded Trump, "I said a lot of times thank you to the American people." The exchange intensified as Trump declared to Zelensky, quote, "You're gambling with World War III." He then said it two more times. "You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country." He painted Zelensky's stance as reckless, adding, "You're gambling with the lives of millions of people." Zelensky pushed back, questioning the feasibility of peace with Russia, saying, "What kind of diplomacy are you speaking about? We signed a deal with Putin. He did not keep it." J.D. Vance then jumped in, amplifying Trump's frustration, saying to Zelensky, "Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media right now." Vance then pressed Zelensky further. "Have you said thank you once?" Vance then turned political by saying to Zelensky, quote, "You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October," meaning the Democrats. He further attacked Zelensky, saying, "You bring people on a propaganda tour. Do you think it's respectful to come to the U.S. Oval Office and attack the administration that's trying to prevent the destruction of your country?" Now, side note, not once did it seem like Zelensky was attacking Trump. I feel like Vance was just there to be this bad cop, but it just turned into a bullying session from both of them. But Zelensky fired back, challenging Vance directly, saying, "Have you ever been to Ukraine? Have you ever seen the problems we have?" Vance retorted, "I've seen your propaganda tours," dismissing Zelensky's appeal. Now, Zelensky accused Vance of speaking loudly, prompting Trump to retort, "He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble. Your country is in big trouble. You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us." Trump said, "If you didn't have our weapons, this war would be over in 2 weeks." Zelensky responded with, "Yeah, I heard that from Putin. 3 days. Now it's 2 weeks." Vance said, "You have no people. There are no men in Ukraine." Zelensky responded, "There is. Come and see." Vance retorted, "You are showing disrespect for our country. You can't dictate terms for us." Trump then jumped in and said, "If it weren't for our weapons, this war would be over immediately." Zelensky responded, "Yeah, in 3 days. I already heard that from Putin." Trump responded, "Either you make a deal or walk away from it. You have no cards in your hand without us. You should be grateful to us. You should be grateful. People are dying. You don't have enough troops. You can't tell us whether you want or don't want a ceasefire." Zelensky then said, "You weren't in Ukraine to talk about our problems." Then Zelensky said to President Trump, "May I say, Mr. President?" And Trump interrupted, saying, "No, you've said too much." But Zelensky then broadened his point, addressing both men, saying, quote, "During the war, everybody has problems, even you. But you have a nice ocean, and don't feel it now, but you will feel it in the future." Trump interjected, "Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good and very strong." The meeting then pivoted back to minerals when Trump said, "Once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position, but you're not acting at all thankful, and that's not a nice thing." Trump then added, "All they," meaning Ukraine, "all they talk about is security. I said, let's make a deal first. The American taxpayers also have to be protected." Zelensky shifted the focus to Russia by saying that crazy Russians had deported Ukrainian children and committed war crimes during their 3-year invasion of my country. There should be no compromise with a killer on our territory. At that point, Trump grew exasperated and snapped back, "You talk too much." And then Trump laid out an ultimatum. "You're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out." Trump then added, "I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards." Trump boasted of Zelensky, "The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy, and I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. We gave you, through this stupid president," referring to Biden, $350 billion. "We gave you military equipment. If you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks." Now, that $350 billion number is patently false, and so is the military equipment claim, but we're way beyond that at this point. Vance reinforced Trump's stance, telling Zelensky, quote, "The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country, Mr. President." Vance then added, right now, you guys are going around forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for wanting to bring an end to the conflict. Zelensky then said, we will never accept just a ceasefire, emphasizing that they need to have security guarantees. He also mentioned that previous ceasefires had failed. Trump had claimed they didn't fail when he was president, and Zelensky shot back that they actually had, which is true. The argument peaked as Trump addressed Zelensky's animus towards Putin by saying, quote, you see the hatred he's got for Putin? That's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. Then Trump mused on his own role. Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, meaning Putin and Zelensky, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on that deal? It doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. At that point, Zelensky was clearly defeated from a rash of profoundly incorrect takes and bullying, and the meeting really was just a series of platitudes from that point on. But as reporters lingered, one asked Trump about Russia potentially breaking past peace deals, as Zelensky said. Trump responded by apparently defending Russia and not answering the question, instead saying, what if a bomb drops on your head right now? The meeting concluded, and Trump later posted on Truth Social, quote, we had a very meaningful meeting in the White House today. I have determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved. He disrespected the United States of America in its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he's ready for peace. Obviously, the planned signing of the U.S.-Ukraine agreement on rare earth minerals, which Trump kept calling raw minerals, did not happen. And then finally, Russian state media is savoring what they describe as a public dressing down for President Zelensky. Alexander Karyevsky, a TV host on Rossiya 24 channel, said on his evening show that the Oval Office meeting looks more like a public flagellation of Zelensky and something that no one expected from the U.S. president. So honestly, the only winner from this whole debacle was Russia, and they won big.